is all docked. I don't talk to anybody that's deployed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk to any of my friends. And even if I did, they would not divulge any information in me.
Yeah, it's OPSEC.
OPSEC. Okay, we are live. Video and audio is good and recording. Sam, what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I think kind of a relevant topic these days is some considerations for new people out there that are buying firearms.
Cool.
So I know firsthand a bunch of people that bought their first firearm during kind of the COVID season. And they came to me asking questions about things, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go shoot sometime?" And so I thought it'd be a very pertinent topic to talk about for people that haven't or don't have any firearms. For those people, kind of going over some options or some ideas they should think about before they purchase their first firearm.
Yeah, that sounds good. There's I think it's either almost or it's a little over more than 3 million new gun owners in the last 6 months, right? With all the COVID craziness. And there's a lot to say to that. As somebody that stays semi-connected to the internet gun community, there's a bunch of little factions all over the internet, and they all have their own opinions, but they also all have their own things that are really important to them, right? So your NRA is not really smiled upon. No, the NRA has done a lot of things for the gun community in their whole history, but many argue that they do not fully protect a lot of two-way ideas, AR ownership and those sort of things. It's more sticking with an old school idea of firearm ownership and primary uses, hunting and these other things. And then there's a lot of people out there that are very good at presenting ideas of firearm ownership and the responsibility of it. And there's also some bad ones. The gun community is just like any other community.
Oh yeah,
has its good eggs and it has its bad eggs.
It's a bell curve of people out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
just like any other population group.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, every different factions kind of have their different agendas of what they specialize in, but we're kind of in the same agreements, I think, when it comes to probably most of those issus. But people that are out there,
maybe we're not.
Maybe we're not. Yeah,
I've never talked to you about guns.
Well, I feel like we're somewhat similar enough that we would be in the same ballpark,
probably.
But I just think there's a lot of misinformation probably out there, and maybe there's a lot of good stuff too. But again, this is just kind of my opinion and coming from my past, growing up with firearms my whole life. And then, then being a kid, then being a grown up, and then now having my own family, there's definitely probably some certain areas that you should look at and be concerned with, depending upon the different kind of times in your life and where you are. So, yeah, maybe just our opinion or just my opinion, and we'll see. Maybe we're on the same page when we're not.
I'll tell you this, man. My first job after the Marine Corps, after my active duty time, I worked for Al & Bob's Sporting Goods.
Nice.
Yes. It was out in Division, a super shady part of town. They
right
moved
next to the gym, man.
Yeah. They're at
So it made me mad when they moved because it was literally 3 blocks away from the gym.
Yeah. Tons of fishing stuff.
Yeah. And I would go there if I had a free time, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go check this out.
They had a bow range.
They did inside.
Yes. Now they're at their nice location out in Hudsonville in a new building. I'm really glad that they did that. But I used to work there. I used to sell guns at the gun counter. And that was when I really started. They hired me because I was a Marine, so I must know a lot about guns. But actually, Marine Corps was the first time that I shot a rifle, and I was like, I don't know another. So I just started Googling. I made it through the interview, and then I just started Googling and watching YouTube, learning as much as I could. And that's when I really started getting in connection with the gun community. But that's also when I started interacting with people that are buying guns.
Yeah.
Right. And so all sorts, mostly hunters. Some younger guys, some people wanted ARs, but I have a distinct memory of one lady that came to the shop, and she was distraught because she lived in a bad neighborhood, right? And because the store was in a bad part of town, right? And she said that somebody had tried to kick in her door the night before, and she's a single mom. and she screamed at them that she would shoot them if they came in, that she had a gun, but she didn't have a gun. She just threatened them. Fortunately, they left, right? Whatever it is, maybe a breaking and entering or a robbery or whatever. But that was the story that she told me, and I fully believed it. And I sold her a gun. And that really left an impression on me, because that's what a firearm does, is it levels the playing field for an old person, a single mom, a young man, anyone to be able to defend themselves from somebody that would otherwise be able to physically overpower them. And that's pretty cool that you owning a firearm safely gives you the power to be able to protect yourself from people that you would otherwise be powerless against. If we lived in a world where there was no guns, right? If perfect like gun control policy where there's no illegal guns, the bad guys don't have guns, you don't have guns just don't exist. Well, then what is it? Then it comes down to whoever is big and powerful has all the power in those moments of conflict. And they're not always good people. So
no, it's a huge, I mean, it's a right of ours as Americans, which is great, but it's, with whatever they say with, great responsibility, kind of comes with that. And owning a firearm it's a very, it's a dangerous object, and there has to be a certain level of safety. That has to be a certain level of knowledge that you should, I mean, it's not regulated, but you should have about that firearm and how comfortable you are with that firearm and where you're bringing that firearm. So, I mean, it's a huge responsibility, you selling that to her, but then also her purchasing that. You're putting another gun out into that world. And is that for a gun for a good thing, or is that a gun for a bad thing? So,
but the gun doesn't do anything.
No, the gun's pretty
just
neutral.
A gun.
It's neutral.
Yeah.
So it's definitely that person. But I think, and that's kind of one of the areas we talk about is safety and responsibility with gun ownership. I think that's one of the first things that should be addressed. So so I came up with 5 considerations or 5 kind of guidelines that I see for the first person or first time you're buying a gun and you've never been around them. Maybe you don't have much experience with them. And kind of number 1 is the why. Figuring out why you want a gun. So that lady that came in, she knew why she wanted a gun, to protect herself. So maybe it's home defense. Maybe it's personal carry. There's kind of different, there's different things that you can look at, different aspects, and you need to understand about those 2 different things. So the first thing is you got to understand why you're doing it. Are you doing it to take it with you to go out to defend yourself when you're in public, or are you just going to leave it at home and just defend your house? So that's the first one. You got to understand why you want that gun and what you're going to do with it and where you're going to use it. So, always start with that why. It's a great place to start. And from there, then you can kind of start peeling back the layers and understanding what kinds you need, and kind of go from there. So that's my first one, is figuring out why you want it, what you're going to use it for, and what you want that gun to kind of accomplish for you. And then you brought up Al and Bob. So my second one is choosing the right store. Because I've been to a lot of stores and I see people look at guns and buying guns, and I'm like, that guy. Not that I wouldn't sell to that person, but I wouldn't necessarily take the opinion of that person behind the counter.
Yeah.
So choosing a store, doing that research of figuring out a place that kind of aligns with what you want, and finding the expertise. And we have a store locally that I think is the greatest thing. It's a try before you buy. So you can go to this place and you can try a typical gun or a gun that's like what you're going to buy.
Is that Silver Bullet?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's honestly the best thing you can do, because I've seen people go to big name stores and they're like, grab a gun and like, oh, I think this feels good. And they buy it. It's like, dude.
Yeah. So like Cabela's is the first one that comes to mind. And it's like,
that's exactly who I was saying.
Yeah. They don't really care, man. They just want to sell you the thing and move on, because you're just a ticket number. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're going to wait in line just to.
But it's a cool store and they got a fish tank, and so you can go there. I love Cabela's. I love Cabela's too, but my heart goes out to the small gun stores, especially the gun ranges. So Silver Bullet, 616, I've had really good experiences over there. They're pretty well regulated and they're very professional and they have a great reputation. And like you said, being able to try the gun, I mean, when you're a gunner, when you want to get into guns, you go through a period of time, right? First, it's like very visual, right? You buy guns because you think they're really cool and they were in this movie or they're in this video game, and that's pretty dope, dude. And then you get the guns and then you shoot casually. Maybe you plink with your friends, maybe you shoot cans, maybe you shoot some targets. Then you learn a little bit more and you're like, I actually want to get better in my skill of shooting. And so what you do is you actually pick like a few guns that you're going to shoot a lot. Maybe you sell your 10 other guns that are all trash, which is what I did. I had like 4 shotguns, 5 bolt actions, like 10 pistols. And then I just like sold all the stuff I didn't need. And I kept the few things that I did need. And I bought a bunch of ammo and I did some courses, right? So then there comes this time where you want to be tactically proficient. And then through that, you start honing in on like the details of what's like the best brand and the advantages of each and every one. And you're like, Glock is superior to the 1911 for these reasons. And then you reach the final stage where you realize like the minute details between the actual models matters very little. And there's a lot of stuff that you can learn out there that also is just snake oil.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
Then you're like, whatever. The most important thing is that you're a competent and reasonable person and you have a device that's reliable. And
absolutely.
That's where you land on the last stage.
Yeah. It's figuring out that foundation, that baseline of like what you need.
Yes.
And I think that kind of step one, I said, I kind of glossed over maybe a little fast, but like the why and what, I mean, that's what I would say. Number 1.A is do your homework. So the part of figuring out why you want it, and then you got to research, and then you got to get in there. And yeah, like you said, there's a ton of stuff out there, and it can be kind of, overwhelming probably for people that are new to it. Be like, oh, well, what's this? Or what's that? Or do I need this? Or do you need that? So, but you still got to figure out some stuff. You still got to do your own homework. You got to figure out why you want it. And then, what's going to work best for you.
Yes. I highly recommend YouTube because I'm a millennial and and I love YouTube.
I thought that was TikTok.
That's Gen Z.
Oh, sorry,
that's like
man.
Middle school, high school loves TikTok.
I see a lot of moms out there that are in TikTok. So
what?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
It's because they want to be the cool moms.
What's the fun?
That's whatever. Anyway, when it comes to like finding credible sources to learn from, there are 2 types. Well, there's 3 types. There's incompetent, right? They shouldn't open their mouths about anything, much less firearms. And then there's the second type where they make money off of their stuff. And so those are paid reviewers, right? So if you pick up any gun magazine, there's a 95% chance that review of that gun is paid for. So even if they say like a couple of negative things, they'll buff it up with like 10 positive things, right? So what you got to do is you got to find an unbiased source to learn your gun stuff from, right? Somebody who doesn't take their money from those guns that they actually review. So for me, because I'm into military weapons and not necessarily like hunting gear, I really like Grantham. And he's definitely one of the most popular channels, but there's a couple other ones too. If you like nostalgic guns, you can do, what was that? They do the history of the guns. Dang it. I'll put the link in the description. I can't think of the name right now, but I'll put it down there. And then there's a few others that are really, really good. But make sure you do that. Find an unbiased source.
Mm-hmm. And that's so doing your homework, there's going to be stuff you're going to have to sift through. And maybe and I put that
part
first.
Of the fun.
Yeah. I put that first before the try and before you buy it, but that's where you're going to figure out a lot of stuff is when you go to try these pistols or rifles or shotguns or whatever you're trying to buy for the first time, you'll figure a lot out. Like you can do all the research you want, but when the rubber meets the road is when you actually shoot that weapon and kind of see if it fits you, if it fits what you're trying to do. So yeah, sift through it as much as you can, try to find those unbiased people. But in the end, you're going to have to get out there and kind of get out on your own and try it out and see what feels best for you, not just what seems best when you're reading it.
Yeah. Silver bullet, find these other ranges and see if you can get somebody that you can trust or maybe a professional at the range if you're brand new, and then they can introduce you to firearm safely handling.
I'm pretty sure that's what they do. Like to go into the silver bullet, you cannot go by yourself for other reasons. But when you do the try for you buy, they bring a business or one of the people that works there out with you on the range.
Cool.
To kind of go through stuff. So I think that you can't really beat that. I mean, they're trying to sell you, but obviously if they're standing right next to you, they're not going to want you to shoot something that you can't handle because they're out there with you. So yeah, that's kind of the next one. And then number 3, sorry, a little closer.
No, you're fine. You just like went down.
I went to look. I had to peek. I was coming back up. I was trying to be quiet. So number 3 is finding that fit for you, caliber wise, revolver or semi-automatic. It all depends what you kind of want. But that's kind of sifting through the stuff on your own. But then you'll figure that out when you shoot it. So revolver, 6-shooter.
Can I expand on this?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Okay, there's a reoccurring theme that girls need a pink revolver of tiny caliber.
Well, whatever gets a gun in their hands, I think.
Whatever gets a gun in their hands, absolutely. Maybe that's what they want. I have right there on my shelf right now, I have a little tiny 22 long rifle SR22, right, from Ruger. And that is my introduction pistol for a lot of people, and it is purple. And they love it. I introduced my mom to how to shoot like 3 weeks ago, and that was the gun that she shot. It's very little recoil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's not very loud, and it's purple. However, to automatically assume that all women need a tiny girly color gun and maybe a revolver because it's simpler, that is probably appropriate for a large portion of people, but not everybody.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, Jenna my wife may want a pink gun, or she may want a black one because she's like, no, I want to take this seriously and I want a serious looking gun, and I want to learn how to get really good at it. So it goes back to your why. But I just want to shatter some stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like women can be competent and confident with a serious firearm if that's what they're looking for. If they want a Glock or some semi-auto and 9mm, and they want to learn how to do mag reloads and stuff, like that is awesome. And it's great for the gun community.
Absolutely. But you did exactly what I think people should do when they first shoot a gun. You don't go to that 44 mag like right off the gate.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great introduction. I mean, you start like anything. You start low and you start slow, and you work your way into it, because what we don't want to do, and this goes into like when I was growing up, learning how to shoot, and when teaching my kids how to shoot now, it's like, man, we start with 22s. Or actually, we start with pellet guns, then we go to 22s, and now we're in 410s, and then we'll go to 20 gauge next, and then we'll just work your way up the ladder, because nobody wants to start with something too big for them at first, because that's going to ruin you. I mean, that's how you ruin hunting dogs, in a sense, is going too hard, too fast on them with certain weapons. So it's with anybody. I think it's the same thing, but you're right. I mean, women can be just as good. I mean, women are great shots. I mean, some of the best snipers in the world were women Russian snipers.
Yeah. That's a fun history lesson.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about that, you should definitely check it out. There's tons of stuff right on YouTube. Just Google like Russian female sniper. And
my grandma, I mean, she's still alive now, but like when she first met my grandpa, they would go shoot all the time, and she was a great shot. So yeah, women can be just as good at shooting as men, and it is a great equalizer. So that's something that maybe they should be more involved in.
Yeah.
But I think starting that low and slow, you start them with a 22, and then you work your way up, and they start to feel more comfortable with this and that. The one thing that I like to say about the revolver for people that aren't maybe so used to shooting, it's very simple. I mean, you don't have to really worry about reloading it. Maybe you do, but most of the time you won't have to worry about that. It's super reliable. Like you squeeze the trigger, it goes off. And that's it. And you don't have to worry about magazines. You don't have to worry about all that. It's a very good beginner way for somebody to get into guns. They're not super competent about it, or it's new to them. So yeah, there's tons of those pink ones out there. And I even asked my wife, I'm like, do you want me to buy you a pink one? I thought that would be my easy way.
She said, yeah.
She considered it because I said it was pink. Yeah. But so I think that, it's like, you're the pusher, man. So you just got to like get yourself in the door, and then open them up to that culture.
I will say though, I agree they are simpler. So another consideration is what kind of training commitment do you have, and what resources do you have as far as like a professional instructor? Because with my mother, who had never touched a gun before in her entire life, within 3 hours of on the range, she was nailing a 20-yard little steel plate, and she could do a reload. Like you can get, and that's a complicated little gun. It's got a trigger safety. It's got a manual safety on the side. It's got a hammer. Like it's as complicated as a pistol can be. But if you have a good instructor that knows modern techniques, you can get, and if the person is willing, if that's what they want to do, they want to learn, you can learn all that stuff. And if you want to practice dry firing at home. So like you said, it comes down to the why for the selection.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's not, what everybody needs to do or whatever they need to buy the first time. It's just, there is that difference between a revolver and a semi-automatic pistol. So
this is a good conversation. You know what this deserves? This deserves a crack. Here we go. Oh yeah.
That's going to sound good.
It does sound good. We got Sam was a gentleman. He brought me a Kill Cliff. This is like the Navy SEAL Foundation one. The fruit. What do we got? Fruit Punch Ignite.
Yeah. Yes, it's a whole bunch of caffeine.
All right, you're good. This is not a paid advertisement. It's just a free plug-in for Kill Cliff.
Yeah, there you go.
Here we go. That's delicious.
Yeah. I mean, they got some good stuff, and this is the caffeinated one. The other one they have is kind of just they call it recovery.
I'm steaming hard today. I had cup of coffee pre-workout, another cup of coffee, a third cup of coffee, and now this Ignite.
Your heart's gonna explode, man.
The key is to stop like now, so your crash happens like right before you go to bed.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
that would be good. But we get a little older, it affects you more, man. But you're still in that prime, though.
The key is to just never stop. It's like
that's what I thought.
If you're like a super drunk, you don't want to like just dead stop because the accumulative hangover might actually kill you.
Yes,
it's an Archer reference. You ever watch Archer?
I have.
Dude, yes?
I have.
Yeah?
I have.
You see season 2?
I'm not that into it. I probably watched maybe like half dozen episodes.
Yeah.
I'm a huge James Bond fan. So I'm a very like big, like, spy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the premise of it. And I think it's a good show. I don't really get into it.
I fell off like when it started getting weird. I think the last season I saw was when they went out of business and they had to be cocaine dealers. Anyway, back to subject. So,
yeah. So, my fourth kind of one. I think I'm on four.
Four? I think you're on 3.
Am I on 3? I thought 3.
What do we got so far?
All right. So, do your homework. Understand why you want to do it. Choose the right store. Try to find one with good people behind the counter, and
so we are on 4.
Something that people can try. The kind of the third one. Did I talk about this one? Was about fit. So finding the right fit for you when it comes to caliber, when it comes to we're talking about the revolver. Maybe I didn't get
size.
Yes, that is a huge one. So I think it that is. Honestly, even for me, is the biggest thing that even being some shooting experience is the actual size. So if you want to personally carry this one,
what kind of hands do you have?
Decently sized.
Let me see. Those are freaking huge.
I mean,
you're about as tall as me. Those are way bigger than mine.
So yeah, this goes up to a fail on my own. Like the first concealed carry pistol I bought, I was like, I knew I wanted this once, everything I needed. I went and saw it. It was great. Didn't shoot it before I bought it. So made the mistake. And then it's a nice pistol, but
then it felt weird.
It's just too small in my hand, honestly. And the way that my finger goes into the trigger well, it's just, I like banana hand it. And it's not the best one. So yeah, personal experience here. Find the one that has the right fit for you, revolver wise, semi-automatic wise, caliber wise. There's another huge
try
issue.
Before you buy.
That's it. If I would have done that, I might have, eliminated some issues that I had.
I'm going to throw out another thing because I feel like that's kind of my purpose here, because you're the one that came prepared and I'm the one that's like, I'm going to name my 2 cents. So one consideration is a modern shooting stance, and that determines angle is a really big deal. Angle is a really big deal. And I've been learning a lot about grip, because grip is extremely important with this shooting stance. So old school, what I was taught in like the Marine Corps, Still recording?
Is the Weaver.
Okay. You do this like straight arm thing and you do the tactical turtle where you sort of hunch over and you just let the recoil go right in your shoulders. And it's like, well, it's great if you are shooting a stationary target that's not moving and you're not moving. Then you can do that all day long. But it's not good for shooting multiple targets, switching between targets. The modern shooting profile is, and I learned this from Tony Cowden, Tony. Uncle Tony.
Delta.
Yeah. Some Green Beret type super dude. But I follow him on Instagram and I like him a lot because he just dismantles a lot of the snake oil out there about like training and rangeisms. A lot of junk has been put out there by poor military practice. It's been regurgitated by 200 million people. So modern shooting stance is like the upside down horseshoe. So you have a horseshoe, right? You have a horseshoe and then it's like you're pulling it apart and trying to make it straight and it's upside down. So you're like pulling it apart. So that's what you do with the gun is you're like torquing it in such a manner so that all the pressure is as high along that center axis where the force goes back and it tilts, right? So you have the super control. And what happens when you do that is your elbows flare out a little and you can rotate and maneuver and you can address different targets and you can move in this way. So I've been practicing it and I'm still not very good at it. But what you find when you do that is like the Glock angle of grip, which was designed for like 90s style cop where you're like way out there, right? You're just super bent over. Like, what was that movie with, it was about like LA cops and it was Dirty Harry. That's what you see them do in like Dirty Harry. Yeah. They're like way out there and like, bah, bah. So a Glock grip is designed for that older style of shooting. So it's this really steep angle. Whereas a 1911 is a less aggressive angle. And it's terrific for modern shooting technique. At the end of the day, though, it really doesn't matter. You can train through pretty much anything. Like if you get a Glock, that's just fine. A lot of people like lose their minds over like what percentage grade of grip angle you have. It's like, it actually doesn't really matter that much because you can
get good at anything.
You can get good at anything. The gun's probably better than you. So
it's true.
But it's on the subject of caliber and fit. Angle is, and that depends on what kind of shooting you're going to do. Maybe you're willing to train into a new technique, or maybe you just want to stick with what you know. So, something to think about.
Yeah. I mean, ergonomics, like you're talking about grip, you're talking about how the gun feels in your hand, what it's designed for. Those are all things you'll figure out when you try it, but that's a consideration you need to take in there is how it feels, how it fits. And then the caliber issue, you can go deep into that, but that comes back to why you're buying it. So are you buying it to defend your home? Are you buying it to carry it with you? So there's probably a kind of a lot of things we can get into when it comes to caliber wise for home defense. You've got all different kinds of things out there, but
we can actually go into it because I think you and I have two different opinions on the subject.
Yeah. Well, so I guess for me, obviously you have to look in. So if I'm doing it for home and I don't want to bring it outside of the house, maybe a pistol's not what I want to do. Maybe I want to buy a shotgun.
Oh, you got a little land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to like home defense, if you rack that shotgun, that's a sphincter tighter right there, yes, man.
Auditory indicator.
Oh yeah. If somebody's on the other side of the door and you rack your shotgun, like it's time for business. So, that would come into caliber too. You also have to think about if you're shooting in your house, what are your walls like? If you're, what is your backstops? What are you going to be shooting through or around? Are you going to be shooting through a door or what kind of, where you live? How close are the houses to around you? There's a lot of different issues that can come when caliber for the home thing. And then the same thing that comes to, obviously, you're not going to carry a shotgun with you if you're going to do a concealed carry, because I don't think that's no longer considered concealed unless you're carrying it in your jeans. Obviously a pistol, but then there's other considerations there. Cause you've got, what are your backdrops? Where are you shooting? What kind of caliber you have? What kind of bullets are you using? Are they designed to go through windshields? Are they designed to go through cars? I guess where do you want to go with that one? I feel like this is that's a rabbit hole.
People talk about shotguns. There's different camps, right? Different camps are like, all these considerations and stuff. I like to make it simple. I'm like, okay, I'm going to own a bolt gun. I'm going to own an AR. I'm going to own a big pistol, and I'm going to own a small pistol, right? And I'm going to have the capability to carry both of those pistols. And when it comes to defense inside my home, I just use my AR, and I put a flashlight with a little bump on it. So I got a little button on my rifle, and I push it, and my flashlight on my gun comes on. So, and then I have a red dot optic, and it's set to always on. And that thing's right by my bed. I can grab it and put it up, and I can boop, boop, and I can shoot somebody. Now, I am probably not going to miss if I'm shooting another human being inside my house, because I've trained for it and I know what to do. And my house is not very big. So my neighbors are pretty safe, right? I also live in a suburban neighborhood, so it's something to definitely take into consideration that, but like over penetrating and stuff, it's just like anything else. You're held accountable for every single round you shoot. So, don't miss. Like, and another thing to take into consideration is owning a firearm for home defense is risk mitigation. So when it comes to risk mitigation, you got to think of what's the most likely thing to happen and what's the worst case thing that could possibly happen. So the most likely thing to happen would be a home intrusion. Now, professional burglars do not break into homes when people are there, right? Professional burglars will go into a home to rob it of its valuables when there's nobody there, and they make sure to. However, the kind of people that do enter your home when you are home are probably either insane or inebriated, right? They're either high or they're drunk. I have friends that had a very dark time. Well, not necessarily friends, they're associates of mine, but broke into a home, blackout drunk, thinking it was theirs. And then like slept in somebody's bed and then, got beat up and arrested. So, things like that happen. And when it comes to these people, maybe a display of a firearm or an auditory indicator like racking a shotgun will not scare them off. If these people are in your home, it is highly likely that they intend to do harm to you. Like that dude that broke into the house of the old people in Florida and ate their faces because he was high on bath salts, right? So you have to shoot these people, and you have to shoot them to kill them. The idea of like wounding or warning shots.
That misconception needs to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a huge, I've had people that have asked me all the time, and I'm like, it's a lethal weapon.
Yeah.
It's not a non-lethal. It's not a less than lethal. It's a lethal weapon. So when you decide to use it, and this kind of comes to my last point, but we'll come back to that anyway. It's the legality of the whole thing. So that's a consideration that you got to think of. But yes, going back, I don't want to interrupt you, but it's a lethal tool. Yep. So it's not to wound. It's not to do anything like that. So if you plan on using it, you plan on shooting that person, you plan on killing that person.
Yep. Or kill or don't kill. Like don't shoot at all or kill to shoot them. That there is any middle ground between that is made up. Like people will die no matter where you shoot them. Likely, right? Because people bleed out. There's no like wounding shots or shooting a gun out of their hand. You should never
shoot to wound.
It's Hollywoodism. Guns kill people, and you want to shoot them center mass because you don't want to miss, because that bullet will fly off somewhere. So, in my opinion, get guns that are adaptable. Have an AR, one AR that you really like, and put a flashlight on it, so you can see.
What could an AR in the house do that a shotgun can't do?
Well, a shotgun's going to spread.
Yeah. And you won't miss then.
And the AR is an adaptable platform.
It is.
Because like I said, what's the most likely scenarios? The most likely scenarios, a person breaks into your home because they intend to do you harm. Maybe they're insane. Maybe they're drunk. Maybe they're high on bath salts and they want to eat your face because they think they're a zombie, right? Worst case scenario, and this is sadly become realistic, is an upheaval of society, and you have to defend yourself and or your property, right? Maybe you're driving along the highway and your car gets stopped. Maybe your business is being overrun. Maybe there's a mob breaking into your neighborhood and dragging people out of their homes. These have become real. These are real scenarios. the argument that it can't happen is gone. The likelihood of it happening depends on where you live, but it's definitely something to take into consideration. So when I own a bolt gun, an AR, and 2 pistols, those weapons can be used to, like my AR, I can use to engage threats out to 500 meters, right? Pretty easily and pretty confidently. When you have a few platforms that are widely adaptable, you can train on those few platforms and become very competent in a short amount of time. The problem with the shotgun is unless you hunt, like if you hunt, if you kill birds, then by all means, I don't hunt. My firearms are for like training, and I don't hunt yet. I really want to. I want to bag something and kill it and eat it and put its meat in my freezer. That sounds awesome. Maybe I'll be able to do that this year. I do want to hunt. So I'm not the biggest fan of owning shotguns for self-defense. However, if that's what you have, then you sure should train for it, and you should become competent, and you can, it could be a great platform. It is not, in my opinion, the best for home defense. I like the AR because it's an adaptable system that you can use in a wide, from the most likely scenario to the worst case scenario.
Yeah, I guess I would push back on that slightly. With the shotgun, I can shoot multiple different types of rounds. So I can shoot double aught. I can shoot a bird shot. I can shoot slugs.
Shoot a breaching charge.
Yeah, you can shoot all kinds of things. And so I guess what I would say is like AR is very adaptable. It can be used for a lot of different things, but that's probably not what I would choose first for home defense. Just because if I'm just strictly defending my home, maybe I don't need to shoot out to 500 meters unless I live in a big ranch. I'm just sticking for my 4 walls and my lawn and my garage or whatever like that. So I do like the idea. I mean, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying a shotgun for a first time person either. But there's other great options with that. Maybe you can get a judge. We can shoot a 410 slug or 410 buckshot. So as a revolver. So there you go. You can kind of get the both sides there where you get a revolver and you get some shotgun rounds in there. Again, maybe not the first thing that I would recommend for somebody new to firearms is buying a judge. But yeah, I see like the AR thing. I think that's like, again, it's like you expose your mom, like 22, boom, boom, like keep climbing the ladder, but start a little bit closer to home when you're planning what you want to use.
I highly recommend for first time gun ownership to be a pistol, because especially when your why is self-defense. And I would recommend a 9mm semi-automatic and one of a reputable brand and reputable reliability. And then you'll have a wide list from that because there's a lot of modern manufacturers that meet that criteria. And then after that, I just pick aesthetic, like pick one that you think looks cool, because everybody argues about the nuances between the different brands and options. But at the end of the day, it's like find a good deal one or get the one that you think is cool or you like from a certain movie, because they're all going to be reliable and they're all going to be pretty much the same thing. Now, if budget is a consideration, I highly recommend M&P Smith & Wesson. Their little M&P Shield is their carry one.
Yep.
I forgot what their full size model is. It's not the Shield.
It's MP. They're 40 or something.
The 9mm model, double stack, and then they have a single stack for carry. Those are extremely reliable. They go for like $350. They're striker fire. It's pretty much a cheaper Glock, but as reliable as a Glock is. And they have a great trigger, better trigger than the Glock, but you're not going to find as many like accessories and aftermarket. And it's not as cool guy as like a Glock is. And I own a Glock, but if I was going to buy again, I'd buy a Shield and use the extra $150 on ammo.
That's what I did. I got a Shield. It's in the 40. And the reason that I bought it is because I have kids and I have a safe for mine. I keep it locked up. But if I have it on me or whatever like that, and you know, something happens or whatever, the reason that I bought it over a Glock was a Glock, it's all trigger safety. So my kids are strong enough to be able to pull that trigger with the safety on. But at least in mine, I have a thumb safety on it also. So it's just a secondary effect for me that I got that little extra safety piece in there. But yeah, it's a good little gun. It's fun. I don't like how it fits in my hand, but that's all right.
Yes, and that goes back to try before you buy.
I should have.
Try before you buy. But yeah, if you're a first time gun owner, I highly recommend starting with a pistol. Get your carry option. It just makes your life so much better. Even if you just throw it in your car, now you can legally keep it in your car. I keep mine in my car because I drive through little Mexico of Grand Rapids to get to work. So I keep a gun in my car, and sometimes I also keep one on my person. But it has this little spot, and I have some drills trained to be able to reach it in different scenarios if I need to, and I know where my extra ammo is and all this stuff. We could do a truck episode one day.
Yes, you can.
Yes, that is a great idea.
Everyday carry on the truck.
Start with a pistol and then work your way up to a shotgun or a rifle or a longer platform. I highly recommend starting with a pistol and then get your AR. And this is all your pistol stuff that you do. All those skills transition over to rifle because pistol is harder to shoot than rifle.
Absolutely.
If you get good with a pistol, you're going to get good with a rifle really fast. In my opinion.
No, and I think your opinion is right with the 9mm. I think that's a good safe round, and it's very popular. So if you're looking for rounds, you're more likely to be able to find the 9mm rounds than you are if you're going to get a 380. So, and the rounds are a little bit cheaper too. So I think the 9mm is a very good place to start.
Yep. If you get a 45, not the end of the world. If you get a 40, guess what? You're going to be able to actually find ammo during an ammo pandemic like we have right now.
Yep.
So my buddy bought a what brand did he get? He got a starts with an S. That just got the new contract for the Army making pistols. SIG. He got a 6 hour in 40. It's a great gun, but it's in 40. So we made fun of him. Now he's the only one that could buy ammo for it, right? Yeah. Because nobody could find anything else. It doesn't really matter. You get 40, you get 45, you get 9mm. Those are all going to be good calibers for self-defense. I don't recommend going smaller than 9mm unless you have a special reason to. Right? Like my mom has MS. So like a high recoil, anything more than like a 22 long rifle, she's not going to want to train with it because it'll hurt her hands. So that's what she gets. Right. So yeah, unless you have a special reason, I would not go smaller than 9mm. Yeah.
That's definitely a good consideration. I mean, something to think about when it comes to fit, and
training is such a high priority for me that the cost of 9mm with the performance value is right where I like to sit. So I own 9mm in all my pistols.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So, are we on 3 or 4?
You're supposed to be the organized one looking at your notes.
Well, I gotta put check marks next to it next time. I think we kind of talked about like understanding the responsibility, the safety. And then what goes in that is understanding the laws in your state or wherever you happen to live where it comes to firearms. So we live in an open carry state. So you can technically open carry, but as soon as you step into your car.
You know who opens carries though?
Weirdos.
Douches.
Yeah.
It's a pretty, I don't care if this pisses people off. It is douchey and weird to open carry because you make anti-gun people or people that are neutral very uncomfortable.
You make me uncomfortable, man.
Well, you probably look weird because I've only seen weird people open carry at like Walmart and stuff, right? But it's why do you need to flex on somebody and like telegraph that you have a gun? To me, it seems like a competency thing, right? Or a confidence thing. If I have a gun, I don't want people to know I have a gun.
You don't want to give away your best hand.
Or for somebody to take it or grab it. I'm going to hide my gun so that when bad things happen, I can kill the bad guy, not be the first one clapped, you know?
Yeah. And so along with that, like understanding.
Sorry, that was a weird little
rant.
Good, just like pent up energy against that.
Hey, I'm completely against it too. It's understanding the laws in your state. Also, when it comes to defending your home, you know, it goes back Magna Carta. The man's home is his castle. So, but there's different laws in different states when it comes to defending your home. So I just get into that, read that about kind of your own little state or zoning area or your city or whatever like that. Cause you got to know
your
laws.
Ground, castle doctrine, whatever you got.
Yeah. So you got to research that and know what your rights are. Because God forbid, if you did ever use that gun, you're not getting that thing back for a long time. And then you're probably going to go see the cops after that. Yeah. Regardless if you were in the right or wrong, they're probably going to put the handcuffs on you. They're going to take you away. And that's just how it is. And your gun's going to be part of evidence in a trial, or if it doesn't go to trial, but it's going to be part of police evidence. So you're not going to get that back. So consider that too when it comes to what you're going to defend yourself with. Are you going to get the sweetest gun to carry around that's, you spent $5,000 on, and if God forbid you have to use it, and guess what? They have 7 years in the state of Michigan that they can hold on to that evidence. So you're not getting that gun back for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So I think that's knowing the laws, being responsible, and knowing what you can do and how to defend yourself is going to be a huge thing once you take that step and you're part of the gun owning community.
Mm-hmm. Definitely know the laws, get educated, be responsible, and don't just take into consideration protecting yourself in your home. Think about, especially if you're going to conceal carry, now you have a responsibility to protect others, and what laws are going to be pertaining to that. And then have a plan and develop plans that correlate with those laws. Know how you're going to call 911 and what you're going to tell them. And make sure that it is something that will put yourself in a legally favorable standpoint when that audio recording is played in court.
Yes.
Because you had to, watermelon bust some dude that got high in bath salts and tried to eat you and your significant other's face. And so you had to put him down. Right. So
no, that's a valuable consideration to think about. If you did have to use that, what is your plan for one, using it, and two, the aftermath? You need to think about that, because God forbid you have to use it, man. If that day comes, you better have at least thought about that whole thing.
You know what? I redact my statement about open carry because I was thinking of a very specific scenario, which is like the weird guy in Walmart that's wearing a trench coat, right? But I just realized, you know what? Actually, you got to know and understand those laws too, and where you fall into those laws for scenarios like loss of public regulation, right? In these huge civil disturbance moments where you may have to, let's say that the highways were blocked and I'm trying to get home from work and I need to do a movement and I can't get there by vehicle. Well, I'm still going to get home, especially if the neighborhoods aren't safe. I'm getting home to my family to protect them. And so maybe I'll have to travel on foot home. Well, I better know what those laws are if I have to transport my firearm open where people can see it.
Yeah.
So I guess those laws are there for good standing, and it's probably not for, that first scenario. It's probably for very applicable for modern day. And, at the time, what is this? October 10th. What are we at? October 9th. We're right before the election. Everybody's expecting the civil disturbance situation to get worse in November after the elections, regardless of who wins. So, yeah.
Have a plan, know the laws, know what you got to do. Last one, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying a little bit, is how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. You got to practice, shoot. Get comfortable, know the weapon, know how to disassemble it, know how to clean
confident.
It. Take it to the range. Once, and this is the big thing that I see with people teaching and showing people how to shoot before, that have never done it before, is the confidence of shooting it. Because everybody usually starts out hopefully with a healthy understanding of this is very dangerous. So I need to treat this thing very, very carefully. And as you shoot it more, you start to become more confident and you can handle it better, but you still have that healthy awareness that this is
healthy
a dangerous
respect.
Yes. Respect. Thanks for the word. You got to have that healthy respect for it, but you got to practice to get good at it, and you got to be confident and know how to use it when you need to use it. So the practice part can be anything, but you got to shoot it. If you buy it and you just lock it away and you never shoot it, and that day comes where you have to use it, heaven forbid, you don't know what you're doing.
Yes. And since we're addressing first-time gun owners, I'm going to give this angle and this perspective. It is a dangerous tool and it is a weapon, but it's not a nuclear bomb, right? You can get competent and extremely safe with this firearm. It's just like driving your car. Your car is incredibly dangerous. And if you're on the highway and you have incoming traffic, at any moment, if you were to just veer your steering wheel over by just a few inches, you would kill yourself, whoever you collided with, and everybody in your vehicle. That is an extremely dangerous weapon, but every day you hop in your vehicle and without a single nerve racking, you go through the drive-thru, you drink your coffee, you're texting somebody, and you're yelling at your kids all at the same time while operating an incredibly dangerous thing. But it's safe because you're confident in it, because you're competent in it, and because you're familiar with it, and you know all the rules, you know the regulations, and you use it every single day. And the same is true with a firearm. It is an incredibly dangerous thing, but if you are smart about it and you do the right things, you can become confident and you can handle weapons and you can store weapons, and it'll be incredibly safe, and you'll be an incredibly safe person. In fact, you'll be much safer for having it around than if you didn't have it around. That is my 2 cents on firearm safety, much like operating a vehicle.
Yeah, same thing. Like you said, you drive every day, so you're practicing every day. You're implementing that every day. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can't shoot every day, but
I would argue that vehicles are more dangerous than guns are.
Yeah. Well, there's more on the road. And you're obviously distracted sometimes, yelling at the kids and stuff. But yeah, no, practice. Get out there and shoot it. Make it a thing. Hey, at least one time a month, I'm going to go out and spend 2 hours shooting, or spend 30 minutes every month shooting. It's not a lot. I mean, that doesn't cost a lot to do that. You can spend 30 minutes doing it, and you'll be way better off in a year than you were, if you don't ever shoot, if you leave it locked up. You're going to be scared of it. So you're not going to know when to use it or how to use it yourself too. So yeah, practice. I'm talking about practice.
Practice. Find some good people on YouTube. Some good instructional videos out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of bad stuff out there too. You're going to have to sift through the weeds. Kiss a few frogs before you find your YouTube gun people prince.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, yeah.
Man, I regret saying that. That's like
that's why they have an edit button.
All right. Well, Sam.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No. It's
you don't have any announcements?
Any announcements? No, I don't think. Do I have any?
Do you?
I don't think so.
You had nothing about a certain date?
Oh yeah. Maybe I'll bring that out. Yeah. Well, you have the same announcement too.
I do have the same announcement.
You're part of this thing too. No, we're not pregnant. Well, I'm not. Yeah. So September 11th, we're gonna do something.
November.
Did I say September 11th?
You said September 11th.
Okay. Close. Couple months off.
November 11th.
November 11th.
Veterans Day.
Yes. November 11th. We're going to do a little 24-hour shindig. We're going to see how far we can get in 24 hours. We're going to do it for a good cause. Hopefully raise some money.
24.
Raise some money, raise some awareness. It's a cool organization. We both helped.
What's the organization?
So Life GR, formerly Vet GR. So actually that's how we kind of met, was through that.
It was.
So the owners, operators of that have come out with a new cool kind of curriculum that's called She Will Stay. So this program is designed for the spouses of veterans, first responders, police, fire, because often they're the forgotten ones in that whole situation.
Oh, yeah.
And often, in my opinion, in kind of that veteran side, they almost have a tougher job than the actual person that's deployed or the person that's in the uniform, because they're left not knowing what's going on, where the person that's actually involved in it at least has the understanding of what's going on. It's just a different perspective. But so this Life GR created this great curriculum to help the married first responders, veterans, firefighters, police officers get through those marriage issues that sometimes can come up with post-traumatic stress or just regular stress.
Yeah, it helps people not be divorced and helps people be happy.
Yeah, he just said the simple version of it. I was beating around the bush. Yeah.
Man, it was so... yeah, like you said, you and I met there, right? Volunteering there. And you and I have both met people that have gone through the program, and it has absolutely changed their lives, rescued their marriages, made it so you're not, I've seen people go through that She Will Stay program and they go through like just surviving to, I'm happy with my spouse again.
Absolutely.
So cool. So they need some support. Mm-hmm. So we're like, all right, So Sam's like, hey, Carson, I shot an email to Jesse, the owner.
I just kind of took the first step. I figured that we shouldn't talk about it and I should just say, I think we're going to do this.
Yeah,
and
Sam told me that we're going to do this 24-hour long of suffering event, and I was all about it, and I'm fine with it, and I'm not going to look like a wuss in front of Sam and everybody else. So, yeah, so we're going to rock the entire 24-hour period. But if you want to be involved, you can. Head over to our website. We're going to have banners and informational, and you can track that. And if you are local and you want to show up, we'll be at CrossFit GR. We don't have a starting timeline yet. Probably around 7 a.m.
Yeah,
7 a.m.
in the morning. Yeah.
Sam and I will be rucking for 24 hours. You do not have to ruck for 24 hours. That would be insane. You can if you want. Or you can just come in. You can park at CrossFit GR, and then you can walk with us for however long, because we're going to have, what is it, about a mile and a half?
Mile and a half, yeah.
We're going to have a mile and a half loop that Sam and I are going to walk for 24 hours. That's going to be so boring by the end of it. But we're just going to do laps, and then you can just hop in for as long as you want. And you can participate and you can support. We're going to be doing merchandise sales. So we're going to have shirts and stickers and other things. And then if you just want to directly donate to Life GR and their She Will Stay program, there's going to be a fundraiser page on Hero Raise, which is a crowdfunding platform for veteran first responder projects. And the link to that will be in the description as well. So yeah, guys, more information coming out on that. And if you want to know more, just follow us on social media on Team Scythe. We're on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And we'll be releasing updates for all that stuff.
Right on. I think that's it. Yeah. Ruck.
I've been training. You know what I did the other day to train for it? Dude, I put my ruck. I put those, what are they? 22 kilograms? Those two.
Oh yeah, those plates. Yes.
Yeah. So I put these 22 kilogram rubber plates that you gave me in my ruck, and then I took my barbell, and then I just got these new straps.
Oh yeah. What are those called?
Oh man, I forgot what company they're from. I will talk about them more. You have
to edit that in there.
I'm gonna put it on Instagram. I'll put the name right here because the straps are really cool. And then I put a 10-pound on each end. That I rucked on my treadmill in my basement with this barbell. And it was,
where's the video?
I didn't video record it. I'll do it again and I'll video record it. So I did that for 30 minutes. That's probably 45 plus 44. So 89 plus 10. So 99 pounds.
Nice.
And then I did that for a half hour, but you have to walk weird because they sway.
Yep.
And it was weird and it kind of sucked. And then, I don't know, but I'm going to do it again. I don't know if it's actually beneficial, but
sounds cool.
It probably looks weird.
Yeah.
But I'll get Jenna to take a video of me while I'm doing it. And I'll put it up there and people can tell me that I'm retarded. Just ruck normal. And that's fine because I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
Don't care what people think. Do you.
Yeah.
Do you, boo-boo. What about you? What are you doing to train for it?
Yes. So I've been slowly inching the rucking in there at least a couple times a week. So I kind of treat it the same way I did the whole Murph thing. Mondays is specific event prep.
Sam did a 24-hour Murph challenge.
Yeah.
If you don't know about that.
So I learned a little bit like that. So that's how I treat it. Mondays, my event, I specifically do the event kind of things that I'm going to do. So this Monday I did 3 miles in the morning, and then after lunch I did 3 miles. And then yesterday I did a heavy mile as fast as possible. And then I'll do one more this week. And then Monday, because what I found from doing the Murph thing is getting used, doing one thing for a couple hours is all right. It's the starting and the stopping that kind of sucks. So getting used to rucking, taking a little break, rucking, taking a little break, and rucking, for me, that's kind of the one way that I've found that getting ready for the event works best. Because if you just go, it's great to go ruck, if you went and did 20 miles on a Saturday, that's awesome. But you got to get used to starting and then stopping and starting and stopping. And for me, that's also the easiest way to build up endurance and kind of the repetitions of it. So you got to get used to that volume of walking for that long.
You know what? Yeah, getting used to it, but it's not like running. a marathon or whatever, it's a little different. One of my biggest challenges is like, because I got these like thighs, right? And there's no gap. So there's
Astroglide.
Oh yeah. So there's Astroglide, but do you remember Travis Snyder when we had our conversation with him? And so Travis Snyder rucked around Lake Michigan to fundraise. And remember what he said, what he ended up using? Because he tried all the things.
I don't remember
and for chafing, he used Gorilla Tape.
Oh, that's right.
And he taped his thighs. And he'd have to take them off every day. But that's what I plan on doing. I plan on taping my thighs.
Taping your thighs.
And probably in between my butt cheeks too. I don't know if you've ever done a ruck in the military or something. Like, well, I've done some pretty rucks while nasty. And dude, I had the chafing in my butt. I was bleeding one time out of my ass because
you know, it's this funny thing. It's not a huge thing, really, honestly. Like chafing's not a big thing.
Chafing.
But it adds up.
Yeah.
It's like constant like feeling. Like it's not a terrible feeling. Like you can get by with chafing but it's that constant nagging. Because every step you take, it's like you feel it just every little time. Where it's like a big injury, it's like, oh, that's one big thing that happens. But that one, it's like death by 1,000
slowly
cuts.
worse.
Yes. And that's the thing about it. It's like it's always there. It's not really bad, but it's always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the fun things that
it's gonna.
I'm not gonna tape.
You're gonna be
butt.
smiling the whole time.
I'm not gonna tape your butt.
Oh, I'll make Jenna do it.
Yeah.
I have not tried it. I don't know if it's gonna work. Maybe that's something I should try before I do.
Try before you buy, folks. Try before you buy. You gotta try it out. Yeah, chafing. That's it. At the end, you gotta get used to your stuff. You gotta figure out. But the good thing is it's November, so it's cooler. It's not going to be super hot because
it might be cold.
Yeah.
It might snow.
It snowed last year when I did the Murph thing.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Freaking,
you did that on Veterans Day?
Yeah. And it's like it snowed and was crazy cold that 2 days. The next 3 weeks, it was beautiful. Like
weren't you sick too?
Yeah. Those things are going to happen.
We'll have COVID while we do it.
Yeah, there's something. You'll tweak your ankle, your knee will be bothering you, or your back will be bothering. Like, there'll always be something.
Yeah.
You just got to push through it. Yeah. All
right, dude. Yeah, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Exciting things coming up for Team Scythe. We're hoping to come out with some product. We're trying to figure out some product to be able to sell. And, some other things. Nothing to announce yet. Just that it'll happen soon. But right now we're pretty oriented and focused on the fundraiser and getting that going and working with Jesse and Tara on that.
Yep.
But yeah, guys, stay tuned. And also, please comment. Please let us know what you want to see. If you have any questions about gun ownership, let us know. On the next podcast episode, we could address questions. Or if you have any questions about fitness in general, maybe you want to ask me about editing and nerd stuff, or maybe you want to talk to Sam about cool stuff like working out, hit us up, leave a comment, or direct message us. And, if you want to support, you can like and follow, because there's no way you can buy anything from us right now as of this episode release yet. So thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, there's a pretty good chance you are my mom or wife. But that's how it goes. Dude, these early episodes and these early things, man. You ever watch like the first Jocko podcast? Well, you can't watch it. You have to listen to it.
Yeah, I've gone back.
It was awful.
Well, yeah.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
It was
figuring stuff out.
Quality. Or the first Joe Rogan, which there is a video of. It's so bad. And then you watch it and you're like, I can't believe this podcast got so big that it can swing an election.
Yes. That's the way it goes. You get better with time.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. And take care.